Hey everybody, this is Sheets again from Ireland, and we're going to be doing a lineup construction video for today's UFC card, UFC Noche from the Sphere. Been a long 5 days of grinding golf in uh, cold, windy, rainy weather, but it was a good time. And the way the time zone works, it actually works pretty well for my business. I mean, I can get my all my work done pretty much, and the golf is usually when everybody in the world is sleeping. It's not particularly great for DFS, both from a sweating perspective and from a playing perspective, because I can't actually initiate new lineups from Ireland. But knowing, knowing my game and knowing the rules and knowing how to play, you can enter lineups from legal places as long as you, and then you can edit them from everywhere. So I did put in like all my lineups before I left New York and knowing that I could change them as often as I liked once I got here. From a sweating perspective, it's an atrocity because the card starts at 1 a.m. local time. So I don't believe even if I were not completely dead tired, I'd be able to stay up to sweat this thing. Actually, if it starts at 7, yeah, 1 a.m. start time. So that's not happening. But you never know. I might wake up in a cold sweat wondering if XYZ is live and I'll fire it up because I'm definitely playing. But I figured I would do this video, and I got to tell you, it is definitely a great slate to take off from a DFS perspective, which I'm not doing. The reason why is I kind of alluded to this in the earlier video is, I mean, there's 10 fights, which is already makes it very difficult to get unique. I mean, I almost would recommend passing a card simply for that reason. Um, the other thing is that you have two 5 round fights, which makes it even harder to get unique because the two 5 round fights, you know, just rate to score all that well, and there are only eight other options, eight other fights to target. And this particular card, it's even worse because you have really high scoring possibilities in the the two main events, and even worse still is that you have two options, that being Shevchenko and Marab, who have slate breaking upside in most of their wins. In this slate, if Marab wins, he is scoring a billion. And if Valentina wins, maybe scoring 500 million, so maybe not as much as Marab, but same type of thing. I don't believe that Shevchenko is going to win just kind of a pure striking battle. She's going to have to get her takedowns going. And so the point is that it's a very difficult slate to get unique because everybody's going to know the same stuff. They're going to know that Manuel Torres at 8,200 is a tremendous play, given his inside the distance line. Everybody's going to know that what's his name, Rodas Huss Jr. strong inside the distance line plus grappling upside. Just very strong play, and people are going to certainly want to play the Ortega Lopes fight. All action fighters, both of them. So it's not difficult to figure out who the best plays are. It's probably not the greatest idea to try to play the big GPP and to go 150 in the name of trying to be unique, but we're degens. We're admitted unique hunters, and we're going to try anyway. And again, part of it is this is an experiment, right? This is always a study on how to do this. So each time you have an opportunity to try, we're going to try to utilize the tools we have to do the best we can to make that balance between lineups that have good chances to win and lineups that can be at least close to unique. And fortunately, again, this doubles as kind of a display of the different things that SaberSim can do, because not only can we run, contest sims to hopefully reduce uniques in a way, but we can mess with the settings somewhat to display lineup types that may or may not be more unique. Like, for example, this is like 150 lineups I just kind of ran. And the this is build one, and it's ranking them in a certain way. So it's ranking, this one's rated by risk adjusted ROI. Okay, fine. Actually, this one did not. the first thing you want to look at after you run these things is under Saber Score, this MMA default section. So it's so important to see what you're looking at here. So, like if you look at MMA default, you look in the eyeglass, it's my projection times, okay, so it's 0.75 times the 99th percentile outcome, which is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty aggressive. And they're dinging it 0.1%, 0.1 times the sum of adjusted ownership. So this method is somewhat aggressive to try to get unique because it's only taking the 99th percentile outcome of the lineup, and it's also dinging it somewhat for ownership. But I found this particular setting in its new form is just not going to be good enough, to get unique enough to what we want to do in this particular tournament. However, this custom metric that I created, and I encourage you to create your own. I call it the Sheets default. And what this does is not only does it take 99th percentile, the 99th percentile outcome, but it dings it 0.5 times the sum of adjusted ownership. So this is a lot more aggressive with attempting to be unique. So, and then you could always make your own metrics to get even more ridiculous. Like if you wanted to, you could, change these Sheets default setting to say, could be, go down here, we could do 0.9 times the 99th percentile outcome or something like that. So there are things that you can do to make this more kooky. And then what it becomes a question of is how to apportion your lineups between the normal, contest sim based lineups or even the MMA default lineups and the kooky lineups, and how many lineups, if at all, we're going to use to leave salary on the table. Or maybe, as I've discussed in previous videos, we could force in low ownership by doing some geo mean filtering, where we say the lineups can't have a product, an ownership product of less than an amount which we're going to project is low enough to produce low dupes. And so you can play around with that too. So let's get into it. But what I want to do is I want to start with kind of a rule. And I'm really not one for rules in general, but this is going to be my attempt at being smart. Probably not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to be smart. You're supposed to run this stuff and you're supposed to have, takes and all that. But I'm going to attempt to get an edge on what I think the field is going to do. And maybe get a little bit unique kind of artificially based on that take. So when I thought of this back when I was giving kind of a half sarcastic view of the slate, when I posted on this on Twitter on Monday, I think if you poll, let's start with the two main event fights, because obviously getting those right is the key, right? Getting it right with respect to who you want to play and if you want to play. Okay? Because they have the most upside, they're going to be the most popular. So I suggested that there were two different ways of looking at these fights, and it was very binary. That people that really know fighting and really know MMA are tending to really side with Grasso for openers. I mean, she's younger, she has the positive momentum. Young versus old. She's a little more, and all the people that really know ball, so to speak, or know MMA, really think that she's the side. It's a sharp side, so to speak. And likewise, I mean, if you pull most of the people that just know MMA, forget DFS, they're going to think that Sean O'Malley really has the edge here over Merab. And Merab is very hittable. Again, Sean O'Malley's just too fast. He's just too good on the feet, and he's been working on his takedown defense and all this stuff. And Sean O'Malley is certainly the MMA, the no ball side. And then you have this other side of the people that are playing this contest that are pure DFS players, and pure DFS players know that you're supposed to prioritize upside from grappling, and it's such a binary outcome. I mean, or at least it's perceived that way, that Merab, if he wins, it's going to be from all the grappling, and he's going to score 150, right? And or both, right? If Valentina wins, she's going to get all the takedowns as well. So those two fighters, Merab and Valentina, are the two plays of the main event from kind of the DFS, the pure DFS players. So you have this battle of the Aldana of what's her name? Oh my God. Um, Merab and Valentina versus the versus O'Malley and Grasso. Okay. But so what I'm going to suggest is that there aren't going to be that many, proportionate to the, their projection and stuff, that many entries that have one of each. Okay. I think that people that are going to prioritize Valentina are also going to prioritize Merab. Okay. Because that's the way, grappling upside plus grappling upside. And to a lesser degree, but also to some degree, the people that are going to prioritize Valentina, you know what I mean, are also, well, they're going to prioritize Merab, and the people that prioritize Grasso are going to prioritize the other striker. So there are going to be very few people that take the Merab Grasso route or the Valentino O'Malley route. So what I'm suggesting is for a certain percentage of the lineups to make a rule that you can only have one of Valentina and Merab, and you can only have one of Grasso or O'Malley. The idea is getting a little bit of edge and a little bit of uniqueness with respect to the philosophy of the entries that are being created. So let's. The other thing I'd like to suggest before we run all this is that if you are going to play a lineup, if you felt like playing some lineups with both of them in, like Valentina and Merab, that you must opt for the most aggressive possible unique creating setting that you have. Okay. Whether that be leaving a crap load on the table or really going to max like something like Sheath Default or even worse. Okay. It's just so hard to get unique enough with the Merab Valentina pairing. And I think likewise, the others, if you do want to play O'Malley and Grasso, I think even still, you want to, you're going to want to have settings that make the rest of the lineups pretty, pretty strange. But I'll also say that if in fact if in fact O'Malley and Grasso win, I don't think that necessarily wins. You know what I mean? Because there are variations where if, O'Malley wins, he doesn't make optimal. And there are variations where if Grasso wins, she does not make optimal. So I think that that's an important distinction. So why don't we do that? Let's do that first. Okay, let's first do how many are we going to let come in of Valentina and Merab together? How about just 50? Okay, and we're not even going to say put 50 in. We're going to say, let's build 50 lineups without there being a rule. Okay. So let's first, and the rest, we're going to make that rule. So let's first build the rule. And again, it's not something we usually do in this channel, is build rules. But let's just look at it. Add new rule, group, and then we're going to call this, well, it doesn't matter, we'll call it co-main. And it's going to be Grasso and Valentina. Actually, no, sorry. It's going to be, first of all, we're going to call it wrestlers. Sorry. We're going to call it wrestlers, and we're going to say Valentina and Merab, max one. No more than one. Okay? Boom. Okay. Then we're going to go and we're going to do another rule. Group, we're going to call it strikers. Okay, and it's going to be Grasso with, where is he? Where'd he go? Sean O'Malley. Uh, no more than one. Okay. So let's build, what do you want to do first? You want to build the ones with the rules or without the rules? Let's build the one with the rules first. So what we're going to do is we are going to rebuild lineups. 100, we're going to build 5,000 lineups, okay? And we are going to fire this up. And then I'm going to put you guys on pause until this is done. Let me just make sure that this is going to take a long time. I technically could do the other one as well, actually. So why don't we do that? That's actually pretty cool. So let's actually do that. Wait, did this work? There's no way this got built so fast. I literally don't believe it. But it looks like it did. This is crazy. How did it build those lineups so fast? Now, here's the problem. The problem is that you're going to get nothing. You're going to get no Valentina with this rule because Merab is going to be such a great play. So therein lies the problem. Well, what we should do instead is probably go, I was going to say exactly one, but then it's still going to give us Merab. So how do we get us some Valentina in these variations? Well, we can lock some in, right? So if we decide we're going to play 50 lineups with just Merab, 50 lineups with just Valentina, and and 50 lineups with both of them, it's going to end up, well, might end up both of them. How do we do that? Right. So here's the problem. We're going to have, well, what you could do is I could build 5,000 lineups and then just see how many of them have Merab and Valentina together and try to X them out from there. You want to try that? All right, let's try that. Let's instead of making the group that way, let's do this. Let's take out the rule, or we'll just at least undo it for a second. Oh, we did strikers also. Crap. So we just did the rest, or is that going to change anything? Or is it still going to give us all of the? Well, let's get rid of both of them. Let's just build 5,000 lineups just straight up with the new projections. Built them so fast. So when we do this, like you'll see, it gives us you 100%. Right? 100% Valentina, 100%. I mean, almost 100% of both. So what if so let's take out the Merab lineups. So we're going to play the top 50. Take out the Merab ones. Why is it 0? Oh, I want to list the top 5,000. That's what I want to do. So why is it not giving me the whole thing? Let's try this one more time. Let me just look at this. Settings, build settings, 5,000 lineups. I want to rebuild the lineups. Let's just rebuild. Loading. Yeah, I don't believe that this is working for some reason because it's only showing. Oh, it is showing 3,800 lineups, 1,800. So if we got rid of Merab, why should this be so hard? So it's fine. Okay. So now we're gonna play 50 lineups with just Valentina. Okay, so I think that's actually not bad. And now we could do, boy, do we still have to do um whatchamacallit? This is interesting. I'm getting no Grasso in this, huh? In the MMA default? That's that. Oh, no, because I have Valentina. Do I have any Sean O'Malley in this? I do, but not all that much. All right, this is interesting. Okay, so I kind of like this actually. So let's put in these 50. First of all, we're going to start with get rid of the contest. Okay, let's get rid of the contest. I'm sorry, the favorites. Okay, there's nothing. Let's get rid of the favorites. Where are the favorites? Clear favorites. Okay. All right, so back to build one. So now we have 50 lineups with Valentina, but no Merab. So let's put these in. Now, do we need to go and we have MMA default settings, which is fine. I don't think we need to do this for Sheets default settings, but we probably should. So why don't we do 25 with MMA defaults and 25? And we're really trying to get unique here, right? So we'll go 25 with MMA default settings, which is not that aggressive, but we've already made a rule to make it more aggressive. So let's put this in. Um, Save the favorites. Then we'll go 25 of these to Sheets default, which should be, where is it? Sheets default, which is a little more aggressive. Uh, put these in. But these I want Valentina lineups in, but only if it gets there. So it's really not even getting me all that Valentina. It's just giving me the option of all the Valentina, which is fine. So we're getting pretty nasty here. So let's put these in the favorites. Okay, good enough. So now let's go and let's allow the Merab lineups. Okay. And we will get rid of the Valentina lineups. Okay. And we'll go back to MMA defaults. Very good. And I presume we're needing all of this. Yeah. So same thing. We're going to go 25 of MMA default. Boom. Oops, sorry. 25 of MMA default. Boom. Then 25 of Sheets default. Um, of Sheets default, which is fine. So we'll go bang. So now we have 80 because some of them were already, spoken for. So we run 80 out of 150 lineups with those kind of rules, sort of, that to only take those, one wrestler. And then the next thing we should do is we'll let them both in to the hell of it. But now we really got to get nasty. Okay. And we have to play 70 lineups, right? And if in fact we are going to allow, both, not both of these guys, both these girls, whatever. And we got to really do something here. I mean, MMA default's probably not going to do the trick. We can go min uniques too, which will get a little bit more diversity underneath. So let's do like 50 of those, I guess, allowing that. Save those. So 121. And then we'll go another 30 or 29, I guess. And what we'll do is we'll play Sheet's default setting. Well, I still want to lock those two in. So we'll lock in Merab, and we'll lock in Valentina. And we'll play it like this. And we'll do that. So now at 148, let's I'll make two more. So we're good. So let's think about what we've done here, right? We're using aggressive settings appropriately. We're really using them when we need them, meaning when we're pairing these two very popular options. And then what we did is we kind of screwed around with the contest field sort of, in that we built lineups specifically to only have one Merab or one Valentina. Okay. We didn't need to do minimum one or max one of both the strikers. I don't think we're getting those anyway. I don't think. Let's I guess maybe we have to, but let's take a look. So let's go into contest. Let's see actually what we do have here. Let's look at the lineups, I suppose. In the favorites. Just to see what we have. I wonder how many we do have of the two strikers together. Let's see. We don't have many of either of them. So, we actually have only 5 lineups total with O'Malley in it. So let's just say, so I doubt I'm worried too much about any O'Malley. Yeah, we have one, maybe how many lines with, we have one lineup with Grasso and O'Malley. So that's already pretty god dang aggressive. Okay. And we're battling the no balls, okay, in a really fine way. And then we're looking at our overall exposures. I mean, you still get, most, highest known guys are Merab and Valentina. And then you got a whole bunch of other guys, and girls or whatever. So I think this is fine. I still don't think we're going to get unique enough. But again, this is hopefully just giving you some ideas, what else you can do here. Let's save these for now. Let's download this. And as I mentioned, I can change my lineup construction over here. And I do want to talk about the oops, that's not what I want. I do want to talk about the big buy-in for a minute, because I do have a couple of opinions here. So let's put these. Now, by the way, it's even as far as like running the contest sims, which you see me do in a lot of the other sports. I'm not going to do it in MMA, especially this week, because it's going to be so hard to really know what the field is going to do. They're going to play this. I presume they're going to try to get somewhat unique and to be able and leave money on the table and all this stuff. And it's so hard to actually predict in what way they're going to do that. That trying to put together a representative contest field is very difficult. So to sim anything against it is fairly difficult as well. But I do have a couple of opinions. And we'll talk about the main, the big buy in a second. That's what we'll talk about. Let's make sure this is all good. And I might change this or whatever, but just to have, so I have something. And again, just to give you ideas of things you can do. Now, one thing that people have asked me about is what about stacking on, a 10 fight card. And especially when you have such incredible upside of those, those wrestlers or whatever. What I want to suggest is something different. Like, if you really have it in you, I do think that people are going to be stacking those fights, even in GPPs. But why not, like, stack some other fight? I think if people are going to stack a fight, there's certainly going to be one of those two main event fights. But I don't know. What if you tried something else? Like what if you tried to stack Lopes Ortega? Real banger, a lot of activity, a lot of reversals, a lot of stuff going on. What about something like, I don't know, like a Rebovich, where Rebovich comes off a huge, huge start, but then Zellhuber takes over and they rack up points? Or what about Torres Bahamondes, just a banger where nobody just somehow gets knocked out? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's just asking for it. But I guess the Lopez Ortega fight would be the example of that. So I doubt either of these fighters really gets finished. So it could be pretty high, it's what I'm looking for, high event, a high event fight. So you could maybe score some points out of that. As a matter of fact, wonder if I should do that. I put like 20 lineups in where we stack Lopes Ortega just for funsies. It just never works. I shouldn't say that. I mean, it works, but it just doesn't work all too often. Um, but for the big buy-in, I mean, this is the way you're supposed to play. Okay, and I talked about this in my earlier video. Manuel Torres is a tremendous play, no doubt about it. Okay, Baham, and it's going to look that way on paper. Everybody's going to want to play him. Bahamondes looks not quite as good, but pretty good. Those are the plays you're supposed to make. The opponents that look good, but not as good, because Torres is going to get jammed, I think. So I think Bahamondes is a good place to start. Um, and then unfortunately, I think you do have to play both these in the big buy-ins, like Merab and Valentina. They just score too well. And then what I was suggesting um in the video, I'm going to go right back to, is to find one of these other fights that maybe people are not as high on. So I'm this Odi Osborne, Rudy Rodriguez fight or whatever. This one is pretty interesting to me. So I would do something like that, maybe a little different. I mean, is this different enough where then I can go then play Rosas and and say, well, what are the 9K guy? I mean, anybody really, like Zellhuber. I don't think Zellhuber is going to be all that popular. People are going to want to play this Lopes fight. You know it. You know they're going to want to play this. You could actually play them all in this variation, right? You play Zellhuber, and then where am I? Zellhuber, where's it? Rosas, and just fly. And I think this is actually a pretty good idea. Not that unique, but it's I mean it's fine for a big buy-in, I think. Um, the other thing that you can do, and again, I've spoken about this, so I know people are saying, well, why don't you just do this? The idea of going back to Sabersim for a second, or just conceptually playing Merab and leave 800 on the table in all lineups with Merab. Okay. The idea being that, if Merab wins, you're not going to need the 800. You know what I mean? It's like he's going to score more than O'Malley anyway. And since Merab is going to be so chalky, that maybe you should at least limit your Merab exposures to lineups that leave 800 on the table. The thought is that optimizers are going to just go to O'Malley if there's 8,500 left. And so those lineups with Merab might be a little more unique. But the problem is that works when the optimizers are going to get to that higher priced fighter. But this is going to be one of those rare cases, I believe, where the $7,700 fighter not only is known to have more upside, but also he's probably going to project to have a better median as well. So and as a result, the optimizers are not going to get to him anyway. So even if you left 800 on the table, they're still going to want to play Marab. I mean, you saw when I first ran my first bunch of lineups, without doing anything, I was leaving all this money on the table, and part of the reason for that was because they don't care what Marab's price is. I mean, he should be 9,000. You know, and you might think, well, why should he be 9,000 if he's not even the favorite? Well, because again, like it's not a question of how often he wins; it's when he wins, what does he score? So we'll take a look at the projections for a second. So, I mean, I have, at least for mine, I have like 81. Well, so let's look for a second. Where's O'Malley? O'Malley with 76 and Merab with 83. So that technique is just not going to work. Um, Valentina with an 80 and Grasso with a 78. So even, you know what I mean? Like, so none of that is going to work. As a matter of fact, I think that no, Grasso was the favorite. So the usual techniques of dealing with that is just not going to apply today. So this is when I think that you have to just be a little bit weird with your, with your groups, and really get aggressive with your lineups that are going to be chalky otherwise, as far as ranking them and using that those SaberSim sliders. And aside from that, um, that's really all I have. I think it's a really good card to watch. I think it's actually a really good card individually from a DFS perspective, but just from this particular GPP perspective, it's going to be very difficult to get unique. But hopefully, I gave you some ideas of how to do that. And good luck, everybody.